So all of us parents, we can breathe a sigh of relief. I did hear from some of our guests that they ran into snow driving here tonight, though. So it is snowing out there somewhere, and so please be very careful driving home after this meeting tonight. It's nice to be back for at another month's meeting, and I'm very, very happy that we have our new central office administrative leaders in the area of autism here tonight, and also our new partners from 4 different outside agencies, outside providers of services for children on the autism spectrum who are here tonight. And you're going to hear from all of those people in the next few minutes. I did want to take a few minutes to share an important new development with you in the Boston Public Schools, to open a conversation that will probably continue over the next few months. You may have heard that the superintendent has recommended to the school committee that I think it's 10 schools, most of them high schools, but also a couple of K-8s and elementary schools, be expanded for next year. So the superintendent has identified a number of schools that are high-performing schools, and we are going to try to make it possible for a number of those schools to get a little bit bigger, to open new opportunities for students to go to those schools in a year. And very specifically, the superintendent has indicated that part of that expansion of those high-performing schools will be to open additional seats in those schools for students with disabilities and for English language learners. So there's a very, very intentional effort right now to increase the number of seats available in our best schools and open those seats for students with disabilities. And we're starting a process on Monday of meeting with the Strategic Planning Office and the Office of High Schools and the Office of Elementary Schools and Middle Schools to talk about where the expansion might occur and what kinds of programs already exist in those schools for students with disabilities, how those programs might get a little larger, and how new seats might be opened up for other kinds of kids with disabilities. I got a wonderful phone call the other day from one of the administrators of one of our highest performing high schools, wanting to get together with me to figure out a way to make it possible for a whole new group of kids with disabilities to be able to go to that school. Whereas up to this point, it's been very difficult for any students to get into that school because it's so highly chosen. And she wants to talk about starting to allocate reserved seats for kids with disabilities in that high school. So I'm very excited about this. I think it's going to be a process that will go on for about a month of discussion at the school committee and decision making. And you know, whenever we do anything in the political agenda in this city, it's always a struggle. But I think the outcome will be a great outcome. And so what I'm going to do is work closely with your executive committee to get information out to you as we have information, so you'll know what's developing. Not just about, so which schools are they talking about expanding, and in a couple of cases the schools are going to move from one small building to another building which is larger. And I want you to know about that as early as you can. But also, you know that we opened this September highly specialized strands all over the city in many schools, and we want to make sure that as some of these schools move, that their strands move with them, and you need to know about that, and that we have the opportunity now to open new inclusive seats and new strand seats in a number of schools. So we're going to be working on that over the next coming little few weeks. I also want to let you know that we are while you probably know now that our superintendent's contract was renewed for another 4 years, which for me and for the work that I'm trying to do in special education here, that's really great news. The fact that we're going to have continuity in the superintendent's office, and the fact that she has been as supportive of what we're trying to do as she has, is really important to the work going forward in the future. So if you see her at meetings or have a chance to talk to her individually, be sure to try to tell her how much we appreciate her staying around. She's been really important to the work. Before I introduce the team from my offices, who will then be talking about programs and services, when your executive committee asked us to spend a bit of time tonight talking about programs and services for children on the autism spectrum, it signaled for me a thought that I want to put out to all of you, and you can talk among yourselves and talk to your executives about this, and that is that maybe each month we should come and talk about a different area of service. So if we're talking about services for children on the autism spectrum tonight, maybe we should be coming back on another night and talking about services for children with emotional impairment. Another night talking about services for children with specific learning disabilities or children with multiple disabilities, so that all of the families and all of the children have an opportunity to hear about what's going on in the city. That would be a good opportunity for the people from my staff who are going to be leading this program development to actually come and talk with you and hear from you about your hopes for what kinds of programs we would be having in the future. I did, another area of work that's very important to us, and we're about to launch a lot of new work in, is transition services, transition planning and services for children 14 years and older. We've just entered into a new contract with one of our community-based providers, and we'll be talking about that in the future. And another area that's, I know, very important to a lot of you, and that is improving what we do in the area of assistive technology in all of our classes, and we're about to enter into a new contractual relationship with Easter Seals, which is one of the leading agencies in the Boston area, which supports schools and families using assistive technology with their children. And so another night, we might want to bring the folks from Easter Seals in to talk about the work we're going to be doing together. So those are just some things that are in development right now, and we'll be doing a lot of work during the year. So let me just take a couple of minutes and hear any questions or comments that you might have about our programs and services, and then I'll introduce the administrative staff.